Hello all, it's Jenna Correa. And when I heard about the death of the first woman in an in vitro fertilization program, I decided to go and investigate, find out all the information I could, interview everyone I could. This was in Brazil. It was the first woman who died that I knew of. There may have been others who died, but the first I knew of. I got a small grant to go and do this investigation. And I didn't really have time to learn Portuguese before I went, but I wanted some basis. And I had been studying Spanish, which is close. But I got tapes on Portuguese, and I set up 4 tape recorders in my house. One in the bedroom, the bathroom, the living room, and the kitchen. So, and each recorder had a different lesson on it. I really didn't care what the lesson was. I was not following the lesson. I just wanted to put the Portuguese sounds in the air as I was going about my tasks. So I get up in the morning, click on the recorder in my bedroom, get dressed, click it off, go into the bathroom, do my ablutions, brush my teeth, click it off, go into the kitchen, make my breakfast, eat my breakfast with the sound of the Portuguese tape, whatever that tape was. And again, I really didn't pay attention to the lessons. I wasn't trying to follow them or go along with them. I was just letting the sounds of Portuguese go into my ears, which that's the way we learn English or our native language. Just let the sounds go in. So that's what I was doing. And then one day I had to get the date that the woman, her name was Zanatti Maria Bernardo. I needed to get the date of her death. So I went to the file where I had all the papers around her death, and I was rifling through them and then just scanning, trying to find the date. But I got caught by what I was reading. I got really caught up in what I was reading. There was a lot of stuff in those papers that I didn't know about. Like that she had an aunt who was a lawyer and was very angry about her death. That she had a daughter, a grown daughter. I had not known that she had a daughter. And the more I read, the more agitated I got that I hadn't known this before. Because, of course, I had to find the daughter and interview her and, look for her aunt. So I was so agitated at my irresponsibility in not having gone over these papers more thoroughly before, so that I knew all this information and could prepare better for the interviews. And I was so agitated, I was pacing all around my office and out into the hall and back and forth, and just castigating myself and saying, how could you not have really studied this stuff and gotten what you need in order to prepare for the interviews? Nobody should ever, I'm saying this to myself, nobody should ever again give you any money to do anything ever. You're so irresponsible. I was so agitated. And this went on for I don't know how long, but it was very painful. And all of a sudden, I stopped and it hit me. I could not have read that information before because it was in Portuguese and I didn't speak Portuguese. I didn't know Portuguese. The information was in newspaper articles that my Brazilian friend, the famous Ana Maria Regina dos Reis, had given me. Anna's a physician. And at the time of that death, she collected all of these papers. And she brought them to me in Sweden, where we had a big emergency conference on the new reproductive technologies and what they were doing to women and what the risks were for women. She had handed me all this information, but I didn't speak Portuguese. So I didn't read the articles, and I guess I was assuming when I got to Brazil, I'd sit down with Anna and ask her to translate every bit of it. But in the meantime, I had studied Spanish more, and in the meantime, I had been doing that thing of listening to tapes of Portuguese. And those things together somehow enabled me to understand what was in the articles. What blew my mind was I didn't notice that the information was not coming into me in English. I'm standing there reading, taking in, okay, she had a daughter, she had an aunt, this happened, that happened. I'm taking it in, but I didn't notice that it was coming into me in Portuguese. It was not coming into me in English. So I have an image of this whole experience of me, that suddenly the gates of the Portuguese culture have opened for me. They were always shut to me because I didn't have the language. But doing that little bit somehow allowed the gates to open to me, and I could understand what was in the articles, and I walked through the gates bitching and moaning about how terrible and irresponsible I was. That's the maybe third thing in this thing I want to point out. Look at what I was doing to myself. I was running myself down, castigating myself, and instead of saying, "Hey, you've entered a whole new territory. You did a little bit of work that enabled you to enter a new world, and good for you." I didn't do that, and so one of the things I want to do now is when I hear myself being mean to myself, if I notice it, because a lot of times I don't notice. If I hear myself being mean, I want to pause and say, is this true? Is this really true that I am so irresponsible and so lazy and no one should ever trust me for anything? Is that true? It's actually not true. And I'm going to stop in a minute, but one thing I do a kind of inner growth thing called focusing, where you listen to different parts of yourself. When a critic comes up, one thing I like to say when I remember to do it is, that may be true, but it's not helpful right now. Or I can ask the critic to go into an observation booth. And while I'm going about my business, doing the things I need to do, would it please take notes on all the things I'm doing wrong, and I'll get back to it later and hear those notes. I am totally lying. There is no way I'm going back to that critic to hear all he thinks is wrong about me. So, okay, anyway, I wish I could convey how shocking that experience was and how wondrous that experience was, to suddenly have gates open that I have never walked through before. See you next time. If you are so inclined, subscribe. Okay, bye-bye now.